Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Quantum Leap Futures Morning Leap session for Friday, May the 19th, 2017. My name is Doug McKay. I am the founder of Quantum Leap Futures. Each morning we get together in these live go-to sessions to take a look at the market, macro to micro, take a look at the structure of the market, and then we drill down to our trade levels, our targets, and our hypotheses for the day. We create two main hypotheses, which is based on the average true range, basically putting a plan in place in order to react to that plan once the market shows what it does. Then we have our alternative 3 and 4 hypos that basically deal with extension days and what we're going to do once we identify that we're extending beyond the ATRs. We don't put these plans in place to try to hedge and say, hey, we nailed the market. We put these plans in place in order to have something ready to go once the market shows us who's in control, and then we can execute on that plan without having to think about it on the fly. This is a subscription service. If you're interested in checking it out, send me an email at quantumleapfutures@gmail.com. There's no website. There's no blog. We do everything live here in the go-to during the pre-market session. Then we do live trading and analysis during the course of the trading day. Please read through the disclaimer. Nobody at Quantum Leap is a certified trading advisor. We are retail traders operating within a self-organized learning environment. Past performance is not indicative of future results in any trades that you see in Quantum Leap. Are for education purposes only. Please trade your own due diligence, your own trade plan, and your own risk metrics. Okay, so let's just get our results from yesterday. Yesterday, our main hypothesis was actually a open auction, just out of range or just in range, a move up into the 61 to 66 area, possibly extension of 67, we said, 69, and then finding response or initiative sellers and rotating down and coming down into that 47 area, 46, 47 area. Hypo 2 was an open auction, just out of range or just in range, a move down to take out the 47 area and then rotate us up through and come up into the 7250 area and take out the naked VPOC. Hypo 4 was a failure to take out the overnight low and push up right away into the 72 area and then base between 72 and 70 and push up into the 78 area. It was actually the hypo I didn't talk about, and I mentioned at the end. The alternative hypo was the fact that we chop around in the lower distribution for the majority of the day, but it was kind of weird because it looked like hypo 4 was setting up with the quick move up and the failure to get any really large rotation down. So I was thinking, okay, up here we're possibly going into hypo 4, and then of course once we started rolling over, then I was certain, okay, this is just a late move for hypo 1 to kick in and possibly get the extension. I was actually short from I think 50 or 62 and 61.50, and then they just came up, went sideways, and then all of a sudden we get hypo 2 kick in and take us up to 72. At that point in time, I'm thinking, okay, we are in hypo 4. They're just doing it, and they're going to do it late in the afternoon. But what do? We sell off and come back down to the 63 area into the close. So you can see the end result from all of this, and it was very toothy most of the day, but it filled it in, and we get a beautiful Gaussian distribution. A little bit toothy, but it's a very, very well balanced and very symmetrical profile from yesterday. So we are back in this longer term balance that I'm going to talk about. We're finding balance again in this area. So I always like to start my day, of course. I use my paper money, which is my live data, my live tosses on my execution system. But this is good for doing homework because I can set up some very clean charts with just candlesticks. I use a 9 EMA and a 20 SMA. What I'm looking for is I'm looking for the strength of the trend, and I start with the monthly and I work my way down. Now, I don't know what's going on with my toss, but I know that the all-time high is not 24.02 and a quarter, it's 24.0450. Put in the Globex on 2 Sundays ago, I believe, or was it last Sunday? Anyway, this is wrong, and it's wrong on my paper on my live account too. So I don't know what the data issue is here, but regardless, we have good slope, we got good separation. Okay, the trend is very much intact. We don't even challenge the trend until we get below the 2300 on the monthly. On the weekly, a little bit different story. We have a weekly 20 period ATR that was running at 3310, and so far our weekly range is 57.75. So we've engulfed the last 3 weeks, and I thought once we came down and tested the 2340 area, our week low is 4450. I thought if they get extension down, then we're going to be engulfing like 9 weeks of gains, which is a very bearish signal. But we bounced, and we're coming up, and we're above the 9 and the 20. So even though we challenged the trend is still intact. It is weak, okay, because of this. But buyers are stepping in again. You can't keep a good SPOO down, I guess. Going to the daily, you can see that a little bit of a different, we did have a bearish engulfing. We engulfed all these days' gains, came down, closed out the gap here. We're below the 9 and the 20. I want you to pay attention to the 78-79 area. Our current longer time frame micro-composite value area's high is up at 79, I think 79 and a quarter, 79.50. Which will bring us back up into above the 9 EMA, and there's a naked cross on the daily up at the 83 area, and that's another important area. We'll look at all this when we get to the composite chart, but as it stands right now, the trend on the daily, okay, so on the monthly and weekly, on the monthly, still strong. Weekly, we challenged but did not violate. On the daily, we have violated, so we are seeing this weakness. Going to the 4-hour, you can see that we have had a downward trend for the last 3.5 sessions so far. When I talk about sessions, I'm talking about Globex, RTH, Globex, RTH, I'm sorry, 4.5 sessions, so this will be the 5th session. But as the trend was strengthening, we found the buyers down here yet again, and now they rotated it in yesterday's RTH session and overnight, and we're coming up, we're above the 9, we're below the 20, we're basically in consolidation here, and possible breach of the downward trend on the 4-hour. On the 1-hour, well, we start taking it back, and we're now got slope and separation to the upside, so the trend is changing, and we're starting to trend up on the smaller time frames. Same thing with the 30-minute, same thing with the 15-minute, and on the 5-minute, more consolidation. So on the weekly and the daily, they're showing some weakness coming in, but the longer time frame is still up, and the smaller time frames are starting to point up as well. Although this isn't giving us much coming into the RTH session. So let's take a look at the composite. All right, there's a lot of stuff on here. I know I've got them broken down into 3 main longer time frame black profiles. The big one being, okay, this one right here. This encompasses everything from February the 13th gap up day right till today. It's a very wide balance area, and the value area high, like I said, is 79 on the upside, and on the downside, 34 and a quarter. So we're really still in this longer time frame balance near the all-time highs. Now, as we drill down to the smaller time frame, this is what you have to pay attention to. You got to pay attention to this profile right here. That encompasses the balance area that we broke out of on the gap up. And then this profile right here, okay, which is where we tried to hold value above the longer time frame value area. All right, so we create this balance, the last strong balance down here, gap up, get above the value, try to hold above the value, we fail, we come back into value, and right now we're trading inside of the longer time frame value, but we're above this profile's, this blue line right here at 57.75 is the value area high from where the gap up came from. So we have this double distribution in this area right here from the 2-day balance, which is 64.50, up to the key CLVN and yesterday, right near yesterday's high, is pretty unauctioned. And we've got this wick from yesterday. We didn't really, trade. We had a trend day down. We didn't trade this area very well on the breakout day. We did come back and come up to the 50% significant breakout candle, but yesterday, okay, we failed to hold that, so we didn't really auction it properly. So one of the things that we've got to worry about, especially with Friday coming in, is that we can get stuck in this wick right here and spend a lot of time as we mature the auction, okay, in this area to give it a smoother distribution rather than this undetermined fair value between 59 and 53.75, and then this fall off towards the 75. So we just have to be, one of my hypos is going to be stuck in the wick and basically trading between 75, when I'm even going to extend it to the 79 to the 56 area, and just chopping in this area around the 2-day balance, which is around 64.65. Above 75, I'm looking for them to extend up into the value area high, and then if we get above the value area high, then I'm looking for that push up into the 53, because the overall microcomposite VPOC, or most traded price, once we broke out, was at the 84.50 with a CHVN at 83.75. So I'll be targeting that 83.75. To me, the key line in the sand above is going to be all the way up at the 90.50 still. We used it as a key line in the sand below our over-under line for a few days. But anything above that I'm looking for a push up into the 24s again. But I don't think that's going to happen today. It would be a low probability. As long as we stay below 75, my main hypothesis is chop between the 75 and the 64.50 area. Below the 64, then I'm looking for a push back into the most traded price going back to February the 13th, which is back down here at 56. And then 50 and a quarter now becomes my key line in the sand below, because below that I think we take out the week low. The week low is down at 44.50, put in the Globex. It is a week low in terms of time, days. It's also a week low in terms of strength. And come back down into this lower distribution. Now, overnight we had a clear distribution. Inventory is pretty much about 40 to 50% net positive. And we created a very clear double distribution around the mid at the 66.25. And that is holding above yesterday's VPOC. So, yesterday's VPOC of 63.75. So this gives us a clear, definitive edge in terms to trade, because if we can hold about above 66.25, then we're looking for chop up in this area towards that 75 area and testing that edge at 75. Most of the night our VPOC was down in the lower distribution. It just shifted, okay, in the last 15, 20 minutes up to 2370. So values coming up, okay, and we've got to think about the terms of they're trying to work their way up into the 75. So my main hypo today, even though I'm going to think we could get a rotational sideways day, my main hypothesis is a move down to the 66, find initiative and or responsive buyers and come up into the 75. But let's just take a look at our numbers here. I did some of the work already, so we don't have to watch me type. Trying to cut these sessions down. So our overnight high currently right now is 71.50. Now, which is interesting, is that our overnight high is where our weekly ATR was. Our high of the week is 24.0450. Our weekly 20 period ATR is 33.10. So 33.10 off of the 24.0450 brings us to 71.50. So we've already breached our weekly range. We've almost expanded our weekly range by 2, or 57.75, in terms of the weekly range. So we've blown through the weekly ATR. What is more important to me today is the critical mass. Our week open is our week open is 23.8875. Our daily ATR, average true range, full session, 20 period, is 15.19. So 15.19 from 23.8875 gives us critical mass at 73.50, which means that as the day moves forward, if we don't get above the 73.50, we could see the buyers capitulate, and we could get a push down in the afternoon, as there's no way that we can possibly get up and get to a bullish week. We'll end up with a bearish week, and when that happens, sometimes the buyers will capitulate and the sellers can take control, and we can take a push down and actually even go and hit new weekly lows. Our daily downside ATR target, our overnight high being 71.50, so our full session daily down ATR is actually right at the longer time frame microcomposite VPOC, or the most traded price, going from February the 13th to May the 19th. So that's interesting to me, and that's why my over-under line is going to be my Globex LVN of the double distribution, okay, and I'm going to use that 66.25, because below that, okay, we can push, we have ranged capabilities to come down back right into the longer time frame balance, and this usually acts as a magnet once you get through a key resistance or support level, and this is going to be a key support level below. And the first target is going to be the 64.75, which just happens to be just in front of our naked close and our naked VPOC from yesterday. So this gives us a clear defined edge, okay, if we break that over-under line. That's all the information, other than the Globex VPOC is now not going to shift. We'd have to get back into the lower distribution. It might shift a tick or two, but our overnight Globex is 70. Which basically is sitting right on our value area high. This is a very valid value area. So one thing I want to point out is the 80% destination trade. So if we pop out of yesterday's value and then come back into it and we hold for 2 TPOs, I usually use 15 minutes, but the rule is 2 TPOs. You have an 80% destination to come down, through to the value area low and take a full trip through value. And since we were such in balance yesterday, it's a good trade, especially because we're going to be breaching the over-under line. Okay, so we got very defined areas today, so it should be pretty decent trading based on where your edges are going to be. So that's all the information I need. My main hypothesis for the day is a open auction in range, in value, a push down to the 66, possibly even dip down to the 63, find responsive buyers down here and rotate us up through to test the high from yesterday and the 75 area, and then chop around there with a late date push possibly into the 78 to 79 area. I'm not expecting a lot of range today. My hypo 2 is going to be an open auction just in value or just outside of value, but in range, a push up into the 75, either a failure to break out or a false breakout, and then responsive sellers come rotating us back through the upper distribution overnight, okay, chopping around the 66, failing, coming down to the 66, and then taking the 80% destination trade down to the 58, okay, and back down into balance with maybe a late day probe down in to test the key line in the sand down at 50, but closing somewhere between 66 and 53 area and back into the balance from yesterday. That's my hypo 2. My hypo 3 is a open auction in range, in value, failure to get below the lower distribution, leaving the naked close and the naked VPOC alone, getting open rejection reverse, and then buyers stepping in strong, taking us right up into the 75, fighting the 75, break, come up into the 79, chop around the 79, and then push up and close somewhere, okay, in this upper gap zone and coming back into the gap. We've got a lot of repair work to do up here. Okay, we've got naked VPOC, naked close, naked VPOC, mid of the gap, naked close, naked VPOC. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we've left up there. And since the buyers stepped in yesterday, okay, we could see a very strong move in the morning to get us up in an area between 75 and 79 to get that push up late in the day. My hypo 4 is an open auction failure to get above 75, break the LVN, come down, take the trip through value, okay, push down into balance, chop around in balance, come down, test the 50 area, and then fail miserably and come in and take out this 47.25 to 46.50 that we continue to tickle but not take out. Okay, we've gapped below it, gapped above it, but we have not taken this out in the RTH session. So I'd be looking for that to take out and put in a new weekly low and close the week below the 20 period ATR on the weekly. What was that again? Let me just test, go to the weekly. So that is right here, okay, at 23.40.75. So I'm going to mark that on the chart so we have that. Because if we break this, okay, and close below it, okay, on a failure day, on the end of the week, then we're seeing that the buyers have taken control and we have a possible larger time frame, okay, shift in the trend to the downside. We have to be cognizant of that possibility. Okay, so taking a quick look at gold. I'm missing the move on gold. Crap! Sorry. These sessions sometimes cost me trades. I was watching for this because I was looking for them to come up and move back into the longer time frame balance. So, you know, we talked about the fact that on gold we were going to come down to the 21 area. This is where the composite VPOC was at 2170, I believe it was, or 2070, and find our buyers. They found our buyers. They tested the lower side of the balance, which they often do down at the CLVN at 1420, and then we start working our way back. We accept value higher, okay, and then we get our breakout day, and we come up, and what do? We come right back up into the most traded price going back to October of 2008, and we said that we wouldn't get away from this too quickly, and we're chopping around it. Last night they took it down and tested the 46 area again, and then I was waiting for that break of 53 to take us up into balance, and I just missed that trade, so that sucks. But there's always another trade. So here we are, we're right in balance. What do I expect for the day? I expect us to chop around in the 55 area. I don't think we're going to get away from it. I think we could get some continuation up into the 3-day microcomposite VPOC at 58, 59 area. The key line to pay attention to is going to be the value area high for the 3 days and the CLVN. You can see that this area is pretty blunt area with undetermined fair value, so I'm just expecting chop. Key line to pay attention to will any break below 46. Anything below 46, then I'd be looking for a move down into the 43, 42 area and a push down into the 39. Anything below 39, I think we have to take a trip back down to pick up late buyers back down at the 21, 22 area. So that's what I'm looking at in gold. That's going to complete our pre-market session. As always, trade well, trade safe, and we will catch you on the flip side.